Students, I welcome you all to the lecture number 10 in the Company Law Lecture Series of CA Foundation Lecture Series sponsored by Srijendra Exxon. I'm your mentor Shekhar Gehlot. Today we'll discuss about Articles of Association. So in the previous class we have discussed in a great deal about the company law and we came to a word that is known as Memorandum of Association. We got to know something about Memorandum of Association. Now we know, we have already discussed, Memorandum of Association is the constitution of the company. It outlines the objectives of the company, how company can achieve, what are the objectives for which company is made up. Okay, so what are the objectives for which company is made up? I'll just write now. MOA. MOA is the abbreviation of Memorandum of Association. Basically, we can say objects of the company. Now, what is Articles of Association? Articles of Association is means to achieve those objectives. Okay, means to achieve those objectives. So you have some objects that will be a finance infrastructure company. Okay, but how will you achieve your objective of say you have as a company you aspire to have 1,000 crore rupees finance in the market. So how will you achieve that 1,000 crore rupees finance in the market? How will you manage that money? How will you run that company in order to achieve those objectives? That is prescribed in the Articles of Association. When a company is formed, Articles of Association is also one document, one charter which you have to supply along with the other documents of the formation of the company. Only after that a company is incorporated as a company. So Article of Association, let us read. The Articles of Association of a company are its rules and regulations which are framed to manage its internal affairs, okay, so they are rules and regulations. Okay, so we can say they are internal law of company. Okay, like we have international law, we have UN organization is here, we have WHO, World Health Organization, which is very much active nowadays due to COVID pandemic. But we have our internal rules and regulations, which the municipal acts, which we have Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code, Companies Act. Okay, these are our internal regulations for our country. Okay, so this is a kind of internal regulation for a company, and in the sphere of company we can say this is the internal law of the company, and company law is the international law for the company. I'm just trying to draw an analogy. Okay, which are framed to manage its internal affairs. Definitely it's the internal law of the company, so it will deal with the internal affairs of the company. Just as the memorandum contains the fundamental conditions upon which the company is allowed to be incorporated, so also the articles are internal regulations of the company. Where was it held? It was held in this particular case, Guinness versus Land Corporation of Ireland. It was observed that this is the primary function of the Article of Association. Why should we have Article of Association? Now suppose some foreigner wants to travel country, he wants to travel India. He wants to travel in India. Now he knows the rules and regulations of his country, that how I will get a passport, but now he wants to have a visa as well. To enter into India he needs to have a visa. Okay, so now he'll have to comply with that visa requirements, and then when he'll come to India he'll have to see what are the rules and regulation of India. Can I follow those rules and regulation, and whether it would be safe for me to travel that country. Okay, like there are countries like which are some other countries like Iraq, Syria, Iran. If you go to that those countries, you have some limited freedom there. You are not allowed to do a lot of things which you are allowed to do in India, so you can decide whether you want to travel to that country or not. Similarly, Article of Association, when somebody wants to invest into the company, some creditor wants to do business with the company, or some employee wants himself to be employed with the company, or a shareholder wants to purchase the shares of the company, he'll now see as per the MOA what are the objectives of the company. Then he will also see that can I work with this company, can I associate myself with the company as per the rules and regulations of the company article of association, can I follow these? So that is why they have to be provided in the written format, so that tomorrow you cannot change them whenever you want to, so that people have a certainty. Okay, like investors, creditors, shareholders, employees, etc, they people have a certainty of laws. Okay, so that tomorrow no law, no new fresh situation comes up to them that no, our company follows this. That is why article of associations are a written document, so that people have a certainty that if I want to get a job in this company, or I want to invest my money in this company, I want to be shareholder with this company, what are my rights and duties, and can I exit the company, how can I exit the company, if I want to transfer my share, how can I transfer my share? These are all provided in the articles of association. Tomorrow company cannot come up with a new regulation that no, this is our new regulation. Okay, definitely a company can come, but that will only happen only after the recommendation of shareholders passing of the resolution, but without it it cannot be done. Okay, so to provide a certainty and a safety and security, the articles of association are in fact the bylaws of the company, according to which director and other officers are required to perform their functions as regards the management of the company, its accounts and audit. It is important therefore that the auditor should study them, and while doing so he should note the provision therein respect of relevant matters. Okay, so article of association, just like we discussed, they are internal law of the company, how the management will function, how its officers will be appointed, what will be the remuneration of the manager. Okay, and what will be the duration of the office of the manager, where will he have its registered office. Okay, and what all new businesses or branches company proposes to open, and whether it has the required permission from the shareholders. All these issues are dealt in by the articles of association. Okay, how the accounts will be audited, who will be the auditor, how will we appoint an auditor, and whether can an auditor be reappointed again after the expiry of the term, or will go for a fresh auditor firm. These are all provided in the articles of association, so they are also a backbone of the company. We can say articles of associations are the backbone of the company. If they are going to be followed in a strict sense, definitely it is very good for the company. Section 5 of the Companies Act 2013 seeks to provide the contents and model of articles of association. The section lays following law. Okay. Now, what happens usually if you leave it to the company? If we leave a great deal of freedom to individual companies to set up their own articles of association as per their own will, whatever they want to incorporate in their article of association, you do it. Okay, then what happens, a lot of companies do business in a very sham manner. Okay, they can frame up any article of association, they can come up with any regressive condition which is not in the public interest, they can come up with any law and regulation. Okay, and then tomorrow they can easily skirt away their responsibility by saying that we were allowed by the articles of the association of the company, and since the company has a limited liability, you go and check it against the company, we are not personally liable. Okay, so as to avoid this, section 5 provides the contents. The company law itself provides what are going to be the contents of the articles of association, and it also provides model of articles association. Models means these are standard models. Okay, standard models. Okay, that which you have to follow, everyone has to follow. There are some models in which you can choose which one you want to follow as per your own requirements. You are free to have your own articles of association, but still some provisions are there which you have to definitely follow. What are these contents? Contains regulation. The articles of company shall contain the regulations of the management of the company. So no company can say that we'll not incorporate regulations of the management in the articles of association of the company. Company cannot say that we have a separate code of conduct, we have a separate article, separate code of conduct, separate regulation for the management of the company, but this does not become a part of articles of association. Company cannot say so. Okay, because the Companies Act section 5, it is the parent legislation which provides for the birth of the companies, okay, newborn companies. It provides that when you are going to fill up your articles of association, it definitely must contain the regulations for the management of the company. Inclusion of matters. The article shall also contain such matters as are prescribed under the rules. However, a company may also include such additional matters in its articles as may be considered necessary for its matters management. Okay, inclusion of matters. This is a very broad statement. What happens? Article shall also contain such matters as are prescribed under the rules. Company law, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA, we say, which is the parent regulator of the companies in India, keeps on okay. So this MCA keeps on releasing different rules and regulations timely. Okay, and these rules and regulations are now are binding on the company. So by the rules, differently they keep on prescribing that you have to contain this material also in the article of association. This thing also is to be included in the article of association. So company must incorporate everything which is prescribed by the rules, that you have to definitely incorporate, must incorporate these into the article of association. They have to be there. Also, if something is not provided by the company rules and neither it's prohibited by the company rules, then whatever is necessary for its management, company is free. Company is allowed a limited freedom. Company can provide certain other things as well. Contains provisions for entrenchment. Now, entrenchment means entrenchment means permanently fixing. Okay, like a brick. A brick is simple brick. I can lift it, I can use it, I can break it, I can do whatever I want to do it with it. But when I make a wall out of the brick, okay, when I use a lot of bricks and make a wall with it, then the wall becomes a permanent structure. It is now attached to the land. Okay, that means the bricks have been entrenched in the ground. Now it has become a wall. Okay, so entrenchment means permanently fixing something. Okay, the articles may contain provisions for entrenchment to protect something, to the effect that special specified provisions of the article may be altered only if conditions or procedures as that are more restrictive than those applicable in the case of special resolution are met or complied with. Okay, provision of entrenchment simply says company may say that rule A, rule A is there, okay, and we company wants to keep this rule A permanent. Okay, suppose they say that shareholders can freely transfer their shares only within family members. Okay, and they want to make this rule permanent so that no transfer of the share is happening outside the family. Okay, or they say they give a right to preemption. Right to preemption means whenever okay, suppose a company wants to does not want to increase the number of its shareholders. A company is a private company, it does not want the dilution of its wealth. It does not want that people keep on transferring their shares, and those people who are not even known to the company people, they become shareholders of the company. They are raising their voice, they are creating hurdles in the management of the company. It doesn't happen. So what company can say that right to preemption is now entrenched. That means it is made a permanent feature, which means that whenever a shareholder wants to sell his shares, first right to buy shall be of the co-shareholders. Okay, so now Ram wants to transfer 20 shares which he holds in a private company. He wants to transfer these shares to someone, say Ashok. Okay, Ashok is not known to company or anyone, any other shareholder in the company. So company say no, first of all, if you want to transfer your shares, okay, you transfer your shares, but people in the company, already existing shareholders, will have a right to buy. If none of them is willing to buy, then only you can transfer it to Ashok. If someone of them is willing to buy, you have to mandatorily sell it to the existing shareholder only. By doing this, company is trying to protect its base of shareholders from erosion. Okay, now what they will do, they will make it a entrenched provision. So entrenchment provision, in order to change these entrenched provision, you require a great deal of majority. Okay, like we have discussed in article of association. Okay, you can change the article of association of the company or even the memorandum of association of the company, but then that can be only done after passing of a special resolution. Okay, now we have discussed that there are two type of resolution. There are two types of resolutions in the company. One is ordinary resolution. In order to pass the ordinary resolution, you need 51% votes. Okay, 51% votes to pass this ordinary resolution. When you have more than 51% votes in some particular resolution that is passed, it's called ordinary resolution. But special resolution is, you need more than 75%. You need more than 75% of votes in the favor of resolution. If you do not have, if you have 74% of votes in this favor of the resolution and 26% votes against it, then the resolution will fail. Special resolution will not pass. It will pass only when you have more than 75% voters voting in the favor of the special resolution. Okay, so now here the condition has become quite difficult for the company. Okay, because company has to then take all the shareholders, majority of the shareholders in confidence. And not only majority is there as well, 51% is a majority, but a greater majority, 75% people, more than 75% voters, in order to pass a specific resolution. But then we have another entrenchment provision, where the condition of changing some provision which has become an entrenched provision, maybe say 90% of votes. Now, provisions which are entrenched in the articles of association, that like right to preemption is entrenched provision. If you want to change it, you need more than 90% of the votes. That means company is voting almost unanimously in order to change some provision, then only it is going to be the changed. This is a new addition to the company law. In 1956 Act, this provisions for entrenchment was not there. Okay, it is adopted from some other company's law of the other world, and then we have found it fit to be applied in India as well. So now articles may contain provisions for entrenchment to the effect that specified provisions of the articles may be altered only if conditions or procedures as that are more restrictive than those applicable in the case of special resolution are met or complied with. Okay, so that means you are giving someone a permanent feature. Now you may say that when 90% of voters are voting in favor, then you can change this entrenched provision. Then we are, why we are calling it a permanent fixture, permanently fixing it. Why? Because definitely it is very difficult. When we go back to the example of a wall which has now become a permanent wall, definitely we can break the wall as well. Okay, we can break that wall. We'll need a big machine, big JCB, earth mover will come. It will demolish the wall or any other structure, anything can be demolished. Okay, but definitely it is very difficult, so it is like permanent and almost impossible to change. Okay, because 90% of voting in share in one way, it's a very difficult thing, that too in the large companies. Manner of inclusion of the entrenchment provision. Okay, you may also provide, you have to provide manner of inclusion of the entrenchment provision. So suppose I want to make right to preemption at the time of transfer of shares, an entrenchment provision. Okay, I want to entrench this provision. Earlier it was not entrenched. So how do I do that? How do I make some specific provision from ordinary to the entrenched provision? That is also have to be provided in the articles of association, that this is the way in which you can make some provision from ordinary to special, and also from special to the entrenched provision. The provisions for the entrenchment shall only be made either on formation of a company, okay, or by an amendment in the articles agreed to by all the members of the company in case of a private company, and by a special resolution in the case of a public company. Now the company law says, if you want to make something, some provisions as entrenched provision, you can do only by three conditions. That can be done only by three ways. Okay, first is at the time of incorporation. Okay, at the time of incorporation, you tell it in your articles of association that these are going to be our entrance provision, and after the incorporation of the company, those provisions definitely automatically will become entrance provision. Okay, but suppose right to preemption, this was not provided as an entrance provision at the time of the incorporation of the company. Now at a later stage, company wants to make it an entrance provision. How can it do? Okay, then it will have to be done by the, in case of private company, by amendment in articles of association agreed by all shareholders. That is 100% shareholders must agree. Okay, and then there will be an amendment in the articles of association, and this right to preemption, for example, will become from that day onwards an entrance provision. 100% votes you require to make something an entrance provision after the incorporation of the company. And similarly, in the case of a public company, by amendment in AOA agreed by 75% shareholders. Okay, why? Because it says special resolution. 75% of shareholders in the public company will agree, then only some provision, suppose right to preemption, shall become an entrenched provision, otherwise it will not. Notice to the registrar of entrenched provisions, entrenchment provision. Okay, where the articles contain provisions for entrenchment, whether made on formation or by amendment, the company shall give notice to the registrar of such provision in such form and manner as may be prescribed. Okay, when you are going to make some provisions as entrenched provision, suppose at the time of the incorporation of the company or later on by following either of these routes, you want to make some provisions, say right to preemption and entrenched provision, you are mandatorily, you have to give, company has to give notice to the registrar that we are going to have these provisions as the entrenchment provision. Why this notice is given to the registrar? Because some provision, because if registrar feels, Okay, because of the registrar feels that those provisions which are sought to be made entrenched, okay, they are too much regressive, okay, too outdated, or they are very much against the public interest, or they are against the interest of minority, say. They are against the interest of minority shareholders in the company. Registrar can refuse to register such provisions. Registrar can send those provisions back to the company and ask the company to reconsider it. The company will have to make amendments. Forms of articles. The articles of company shall be in respective forms specified in table F, G, H, I, and J in the schedule 1 as may be applicable to such companies. So like when we discussed about the memorandum of association, wherein some model forms are prescribed that when a company is coming up and it's forming its memorandum of associations, then those memorandum of associations will have to definitely be drawn as per the model or standard MOAs prescribed by the Company Act. Similarly, AOAs, Article of Association, have to be either in the either of these category. Okay, either you have to follow the format F, G, H, I, and J. Okay, either of them. You cannot come up with your own individual format. Suppose you say no, I'll follow the format K, which does not exist here. Okay, you are following your own individual format for the incorporation of the company and AOA. That will not be allowed. Okay, you have to follow the model forms of articles of association so that all the companies have similarly articles of association. Formation is similar, which is clear and easily accessible to the public, and public can understand it. You cannot draw it in such a manner that normal public cannot understand it. Okay, so you have to follow these model formats. They are available in schedule 1. Model articles. A company may adopt all or any of the regulations contained in the model articles applicable to such company. Okay, so in these forms, model articles are prescribed. Okay, I mean these forms are itself an article of association in them. Okay, they are articles of association, fully drawn articles of association, and if a company does not want to have new or separate articles of association, they can adopt these also as their own articles of association, or they can add some conditions extra to it if they want to. Company registered after the commencement of this act. In case of any company which is registered after the commencement of this act, in so far as the registered articles of such company do not exclude or modify the regulations contained in the model articles applicable to such company, those regulations shall, so far as applicable, be the regulations of that company in the same manner and to the extent as if they were contained in the duly registered articles of the company. Okay, so whenever a company is registered after the commencement of this act, so that means any company registered after 2013, insofar as registered articles of such company do not exclude or modify the regulations contained in the model articles. Okay, suppose model articles. Now where are the model articles? Model articles are F, G, I, J. Now let us understand this. Model articles. Okay, these are model articles at one hand, and at the other hand, the company A, company A is there. Its articles of association. Now, model article says you must have condition A, B, C, D, and so on. Okay, and the company's articles of association says we follow C, D, E, F. Okay, they have put C, D, E, F in the company. Their article says we follow C, D, E, F. Model article say you have to follow A, B, C, D. Okay, so in case this company's article of association, it company's article of association do not say in writing that we exclude A and B from our AOA. Unless the companies which is having its article of association as CDEF, okay, say in writing that we exclude A and B from our article of association. What is this A and B? Condition provided in model article of association. Then A and B will automatically become a part of this company's article of association. Okay, so whatever extra conditions this company is having, okay, or whatever different conditions this company is having in their AOA, suppose CDEF, then they have to provide in writing that we follow only this, we do not follow A and B. Then only they will be able to follow this. If they do not mention this line that we do not follow A and B, then A and B shall automatically be read as a part of this company, and company will have to follow A and B as well. Okay, if they do not wish to follow A and B, they will have to specify in writing. The following are the key differences between the MOA and Article of Association. Okay, now this is a very important questions which is being asked in the examination a lot number of times. What are the differences between Article of Association and Memorandum of Association? Objectives. Memorandum of Association defines and delimits the objectives of the company. Okay, now this is what MOA does. MOA defines and delimits. Delimits means limits as well. So a company A is a finance company, then there is a limit. It limits the company's objectives to finance activities only. Only it cannot go into the electricity department tomorrow because it's delimited. It's limited by the memorandum of association. Okay, so MOA defines and delimits the objectives of the company. MOA deals with the objectives of the company only, whereas the article of association lays down the rules and regulation of the internal management of the company. Okay, so MOA is dealing with the outer structure. Okay, like MOA, like the constitution, like India. What is India? India is its boundary from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and from Gujarat to northeastern areas. Okay, this is the boundary. This is the territory of India. Now that is exterior structure of India. What is the internal structure of India? Is that we have another 29 states within these exterior structures. Okay, so that is these states are MOA and are AOA, and the external structure is MOA. Articles determine how the objectives of the company are to be achieved. So we have discussed this already. So no more discussion required, I feel. Relationship. Okay, memorandum defines the relationship of the company with the outside world, and the articles define the relationship between the company with its members. Okay. Okay, like we have foreign policy. As a country, we have a foreign policy. That is how do we deal with outsiders. And then we have all other laws and regulations in India which deals with the insider. That means people who are living in the India, citizens of India, or anyone who is at present in the India. So memorandum of the company deals with the outside world. What are the activities companies doing outside? Okay, companies doing outside its office. Whatever is happening outside its office, that is dealt by the MOA. Okay, what is happening within the office, that is dealt by the AOA. Alteration. Memorandum of Association can be altered only under certain circumstances and in the manner provided for in the Act. In most cases, permission of the regional director or the tribunal is required. The articles can be altered simply by passing a special resolution. Okay, so alteration of MOA is almost impossible. Okay, and very difficult. You cannot get memorandum of association altered once it has already been finalized and submitted at the time of incorporation of the company. That means okay, that means a finance company cannot become an infrastructure company. Okay, it is not that it can never become. If it wants to become, it will have to pass special resolutions in its company's annual general meeting. Then it will have to take the permission of the regional director as well. Okay, or it will have to take the permission from the tribunal. Tribunal is NCLT. Only when this permission is provided after passing of special resolution, they will go for the permission, these permission, regional director's permission or the tribunal's permission. Only when these permissions are provided, then this change can happen. Okay, then only a finance company can become an infrastructure company, and it will have to do a lot of difficult stuff, okay, for becoming a finance for becoming an infrastructure company. But in articles of association, you can simply change them by a special resolution. Okay, only 75% votes are required of the shareholders, and article of association can be altered. Okay, why such a difficult process for MOA and why such a easy process for AOA? Okay, because why? Because AOA deals with the internal matter. So internal people can decide for themselves. Okay, 75% will collectively decide what should be the internal regulations, how we 75% people should be regulated or ruled or governed by the company. But this is, it is dealing with the outside people. Okay, so when it tells outside people that we are a finance company, it cannot within a day become an infrastructure company. It wants to become an infrastructure company, it will have to follow a difficult procedure prescribed by the law, because so many people have now invested in the company, so many people have now become creators of the company assuming it to be a finance company. But now from tomorrow onwards, company says we want to become an infrastructure company. This cannot happen. Ultra virus: acts done by the company beyond the scope of memorandum are ultra virus and void. Now we have already discussed what is ultra virus. If company is going beyond the scope of MOA, okay, now MOA says company is a finance company, and company without seeking permission from the board becomes infrastructure company automatically. Okay, and it goes in, starts a business in infrastructure company. That act will become void. Okay, that will be a void act, and there shall be a personal liability of the directors in that case. Okay, so acts done outside the scope provided by the MOA will become a void act. Void means something which does not exist in law. Okay, so now you are behaving like an infrastructure company, but this action of the company is a void action. That means you do not exist as an infrastructure company, and we will not ever deem you or think of you as an infrastructure company unless you follow some changes prescribed by the this method by the act. Okay, but till the time you do not do that, whatever you do other than the finance company, those act shall be understood to be as non-existence in the law, that these acts never existed in the law. Okay, so when something never existed in the law and people are affected by those acts, okay, that means company did not do that. Company never did this because company never existed to do this thing. Then directors will be personally liable. Okay, those who took this decision, they shall be personally liable, and it will be a void act. Plus, they are void means when something never existed in law, subsequently, okay, subsequently it cannot be brought to life. Okay, void, suppose on I say 9th October 2020, company does some act which is void. Suppose company acts as an infrastructure company but it's a finance company. Okay, company acts as Company acts as infrastructure company. Now we are on 16th October 2020. Just assume, okay, just assume I'm not running away from the time. So company acted as an infrastructure company, okay, but this action was void, non-existent, non-existent in law. This action never existed in the law. So on 16th, by making changes, now you make changes in MOA that today we are a infrastructure company. Today you may be an infrastructure company, but can you on this date bring life to something which has already happened? No, which has already happened and which has already been declared as non-existent in the law, then tomorrow whatever changes company may make, okay, but this thing shall always remain a non-existing thing. Tomorrow this company may become an infrastructure company, it may take that permission from the tribunal as well as whatever formalities are required, it fulfills those. But when it did that act, this act itself was non-existent in the law. So today you cannot put life and blood in the law which has already happened. Okay, this is the void. This means void. So whatever ultra virus acts done in relation to memorandum of association are void. They are always void. That means you cannot change them. These cannot be ratified even by the unanimous consent of all shareholders. Even if the unanimous consent, 100% shareholders say, no, we want to act as an infrastructure company. But from today onwards, you can do that. Whatever you have done in the previous, that becomes non-existent. Okay. The Act Ultravirus, the articles can be ratified by a special resolution of shareholders provided they are not beyond the provisions of memorandum. But if some acts which are ultra virus of the articles of association, something is done which is not permitted by the articles of association, they can later be ratified by the special resolution. They can be ratified by the special resolution. They are not void, okay, unless they also go beyond the provisions of the memorandum of association. So if something is wrong as per the articles of association, shareholders can later on put life into it, okay, because that act does not become void act, okay, it is only an irregular act which is made regular later on. It is not a void act, it acts in the law, it is it is existent in the law, but it is existence in the fact but not in the law. But later on you can exist it in the law as well. Why? Because articles of association deals with the insider of the company. And who are the insiders of the company? Shareholders are the insiders of the company. They can themselves say it's okay, whatever happened with us, we okay it. Okay, whatever company did in relation to us, we okay this. But MOA is dealing with the outside people. Okay, you cannot, shareholders cannot give permission for for something which is done illegally in relation to the outsiders. They can definitely do it for themselves. Okay, suppose someone took 1,000 rupees from me, someone stole 1,000 rupees from me. Okay, and tomorrow, if that person is caught and the prosecution is against him, then I may come to the court and say, no, no, he did not steal it. He took it from me. I gave it to him. Okay, nobody has any issue with that. If I do not consider that act as a theft, then it is not a theft because it affects me. But suppose something happens to someone else. Okay, he stole someone else's money and then I come and say, no, no, he gave this person that money, he did not steal it. I cannot say for other person. Okay, I can say only for me. Whatever happened with me, I can only specify or I can only ratify that particular act, but I cannot speak for someone else. So memorandum of association is dealing with outside people, a lot of people, and shareholders cannot speak for them. Okay, shareholders cannot speak for outsiders. Shareholders can only speak for themselves. So when articles of associations are changed, okay, or some act is done which is ultra biased to article of association, then it relates only to the shareholders. Okay, because it is the internal regulation of the company, and shareholders are the internal people of the company. So if something is happening to us as a shareholder, we can speak for ourselves that it's okay, we okay it. Whatever has been done by the company, we okay it. So that act of the company, which is ultra virus of article association, can be later on ratified by the shareholders. But MOA is it deals with the outsider people. So insiders, shareholders cannot speak for other people. That is the difference between the acts which is ultra vires of MOA or AOA. Now there's a doctrine which is called doctrine of indoor management. Okay, so before going to the doctrine of indoor management, we understand a doctrine of constructive notice. Doctrine of constructive notice is the breeding ground for the doctrine of indoor management. Why this doctrine of indoor management came up? Because we had a doctrine of constructive notice. Okay, first this doctrine of constructive notice came, then only the doctrine of indoor management came up. Okay, doctrine of constructive notice. Notice, first of all, word notice means attention. Attention or knowledge, that something which is being done, it is within the knowledge of someone. Okay, constructive means okay, implied knowledge or deemed knowledge or by actions. Okay, so doctrine of constructive notice, suppose when in my home I go to visit somebody else's home, okay, and I am standing on the door. Okay, I'm standing on the gate, main gate. I have not yet entered the main gate, but I can listen dogs, two, three dogs barking from inside. So I have a constructive notice here that yes, there are some ferocious dogs inside. I should be cautious while going inside. Okay, so I have a constructive notice that yes, dogs are there. Okay, notice means I have a knowledge. I have it has been brought to my attention that dogs are inside. Why? How it has been brought to my notice? Because I heard the dogs bark there. Okay, so that is constructive way. Okay, I have some implied knowledge, some other facts. Section 399 of Companies Act 2013 provides that any person can inspect the electronic means by electronic means any document kept by the registrar or make a record of same or get a copy of extracts of any document including certificate of incorporation of any company on payment of prescribed fees. Okay, you have to pay some fees. Then with the registrar keeps a record of all the companies. Okay, so whenever company is incorporated, company has to provide all the records to the registrar timely. Okay, so I can inspect the balance sheets of any company, I can inspect the financials of any company, I can inspect the memorandum of association of any company, AOA of any company. Okay, so that means when a person is interested in dealing with a company, when I want to be shareholder of Reliance, it is deemed that I know what Reliance is doing. Okay, and I know what is the profit and loss of Reliance. Why? Because these documents are public documents. I cannot tomorrow say that I thought Reliance is petrochemical company and I thought it's a music company. No, I cannot do that. Why? Because it's a public company and I can anytime if I want to, if I wish to, I can inspect the records with the registrar after paying some nominal fee. But if I do not do that, if I do not inspect the records and tomorrow something happens which is beyond my expectation, then I cannot find fault with the company. Okay, why? Because it is deemed that I had a notice that this company is that kind of company. The memorandum of articles of association of a company, when registered with registrar of companies, become public documents and they are available for inspection to any person on the payment of a nominal fees. In other words, section 399 confers the right to inspection to all. It is therefore the duty of every person dealing with the company to inspect its documents and make sure that his contract is in conformity with the provisions. Okay, but whether a person reads them or not, it will be presumed that he knows the contents of the document. This kind of presumed implied notice is called constructive notice. That is called constructive notice because I had a power, I had the right to read those documents, but it is my own in my own volition. I choose not to read them. Okay, so I may not have read them, but since because I could have read them, then it would be deemed that I actually read them. So if tomorrow something goes beyond my expectation, okay, I expected Reliance to be a petroleum company. Oh, I expected Reliance to be a music company, but it turned out to a petroleum company. So I invested in Reliance thinking of it as a music company, and tomorrow it becomes a petroleum company, and some Iran Iraq war is going, and petroleum prices are going up and down every day. So the shares of company fell down, and I have suffered losses. So I cannot say that Reliance cheated me, okay, because I had a constructive notice that Reliance is actually a petrochemical company, it's not a music company. So now this is a quite of description. By constructive notice is meant whether a person reads the document or not, he is presumed to have knowledge of the contents of the documents. Okay, sometimes we enter into a site or we open our account with the Google or Facebook, okay, and then there are terms and conditions, or we play a game or we watch a movie. Then there are some terms and conditions. Okay, usually we nobody reads them, but when tomorrow there's a dispute and the company says we had written it in the agreement and this gentleman should have seen it, we cannot say that we did not see it, we just agreed to it. Okay, we cannot say that. It would be presumed that we read that. He is not only presumed to have read the documents but also understood them in their true perspective. Okay, we are not only presumed to have read those terms and conditions, but we are presumed to have understood them. Okay, understood them in the correct perspective. Every person dealing with the company not only has the constructive notice of the memorandum and articles but also of the other related documents such as special resolutions etc, which are required to be registered with the registrar. So whatever document a company is required to submit to the registrar, those documents become a part of constructive notice. Okay, so all the resolutions also go with the registrar. So I am also expected to know, not only know but understand the special resolutions passed by the company when I am dealing with the company. Thus, if a person enters into a contract which is beyond the powers of the company, as defined in the memorandum, or outside the authority of directors as per the memorandum of articles, he cannot acquire any rights under the contract against the company. Okay, he cannot acquire any rights under the contract against the company. Suppose MOA of company says company cannot take loan. Company cannot take loan. Okay, but Ram gave loan to company. Okay, now MOA of a company says company cannot take loans. Okay, but Ram gave loan to the company and tomorrow company refuses to pay back that loan. So now what Ram will do? Ram will definitely rush to the court, and what court will ultimately say that contract is not valid. Why the contract is not valid? Because company could not have taken the loan, and this is an act which is ultra biased to MOA, so it cannot be. It is deemed to be non-existent in the law. You never gave the loan to the company validly. So then Ram will say, but I have a contract. Okay, so company will say, court will say the contract is not valid. Ram will say that I did not read the memorandum. Court will say we do not care. It is presumed that you had a constructive notice that the company cannot take loan, and now the Ram will lose his money. This is the doctrine of constructive notice. Now, the exception to the doctrine of constructive notice is doctrine of indoor management. Doctrine of indoor management is the exception to the rule of doctrine of constructive notice. The doctrine of indoor management is the exception to the doctrine of constructive notice. The aforesaid doctrine of constructive notice does in no sense mean that the outsiders are deemed to have notice of the internal affairs of the company. For instance, if an act is authorized by the articles or memorandum, an outsider is entitled to assume that all the detailed formalities for doing that act have been observed. This can be explained with the help of the landmark case Royal British Bank versus Turquand. This is the doctrine of indoor management, popularly known as Turquand rule. Okay, this is a very famous case. From this case we got this rule. Okay, this case is the Royal British Bank versus Turquand. This is the famous case. What are the facts of this case? Let us discuss. Mr. Turquand was the official manager of the insolvent Cameroon's Calbrox team, Coal and Swansa Land Lagos Railway Company. Okay, this is the very big name of a company. Okay, just understand that there's a Cameroon's company. Okay, and Mr. Turkwind was the official manager. He's the official liquidator of the company. Liquidator means when a company is going for a winding up, when you are closing or shutting down the company, then one person is appointed. This Turkwind, he is appointed. He will check all the liabilities and assets of the company, and then he will distribute it accordingly. Because when the company is going to shut down, company will definitely pay back to people. Okay, company cannot keep the money with itself. Company will pay back to all the creditors, all the government dues, and then distribute to the shareholders. So who will do that? This person, official liquidator, does that. So Mr. Turkwan is the official liquidator. It was incorporated under the Joint Stock Companies Act 1844. The company had given a bond of 2000 pound to the Royal British Bank. The company had given a bond. Okay, company gave a bond to this 2000 British Bank. Bond means company took loan from the Royal British Bank. Okay, and then company gave a paper that I will pay you back 2000 pound whenever you will ask me, which secured the company's drawings on its current account. The bond was under the company's seal, signed by two directors and secretary. So this bond is kind of a paper. On paper, the company writes that we will pay you
It's 3 o'clock.
2000 pound. Okay. So this paper was signed by two directors and the company secretary. When the company was sued, it alleged that under its registered deed of settlement, the Articles of Associations, directors only had power to borrow up to an amount authorized by the company resolution. A resolution had been passed, but not specifying how much the directors could borrow. Okay, so tomorrow, company, this Royal British Bank said that you pay my 2000 pound back. Okay, but the company said our AOA permit directors to issue bond certificate only after passing of special resolution by company. Now this special resolution was passed by the company. Okay, shareholders has had passed this special resolution that directors can issue bond to the Royal Bank. Okay, but it did not specify what amount. Okay, so when you do not specify what amount, definitely that resolution will fail. Why? Because the resolution has to be very specific resolution. You have to provide all the details. Okay, when you're not providing the details of how much borrowing two directors can make on the behalf of the company, then this act will automatically become invalid act. Okay, held, it was decided that the bond was valid. Okay, in the court, it was decided in the court, the company took the plea of the constructive notice. Okay, company said this that Royal British Bank should have the constructive notice. That resolution, when it was passed, it did not have any specific amount, so the Royal British Bank should not have given loan to us. Okay, held, it was decided that the bond was valid, so the Royal British Bank could enforce the terms. He said the bank was deemed to be aware that the directors could borrow only up to the amount resolutions allowed. Okay, so the company said that banks should have been aware that directors could borrow only the amount resolution allowed, but resolution did not specify any amount. Articles of associations were registered with the company's house, so there was constructive notice, but the bank could not be deemed to know which ordinary resolutions passed because they were not registrable. Because ordinary resolutions, okay, special resolutions was passed, okay, it did not specify an amount, and later on ordinary resolutions were passed, but these ordinary resolutions are not kept with the registrar. They are not public documents. Okay, when something is not a public document, definitely you cannot deem to have a constructive notice of this. Okay, but these were not registrable. The bond was valid because there was no requirement to look into the company's internal workings. This is the indoor management rule. The company's indoor affairs are the company's problem. Okay, so company passed a special resolution and registered the resolution that directors could borrow any amount. Okay, later on an ordinary resolution was passed which said director could borrow suppose only 500 pounds. Now directors have borrowed 200 pounds. Okay, and the company says because our resolution said only 500 pounds, now we will not pay back. But the court said because this was only ordinary resolution, later resolution which curtailed the limit of directors to 500, was an ordinary resolution, and ordinary resolution is not provided to the registrar. Okay, so bank had no time or no opportunity to see your internal working, whatever is happening within the company. Okay, so there mean the doctrine of in constructive notice will not apply here. Here the doctrine of indoor management will apply, that whatever you are doing inside the company for which public is not aware, in that case you cannot say that company had a some other person had a constructive notice. Why? Because nobody has an occasion to see what is happening within the company, and all which are dealing with the company can assume that whatever is to be done in the company is already being done. Exceptions to the doctrine of indoor management. Thus, you will notice that the aforementioned rule of indoor management is important to persons dealing with a company through its directors or other persons. They are entitled to assume that the acts of the directors or other officers of the company are validly performed if they are within the scope of their apparent authority. So long as an act is valid under the articles, if done in a particular manner, an outsider dealing with the company is entitled to assume that it has been done in a manner required. The above mentioned doctrine of indoor management or Turquoise rule has limitations of its own. Okay, now this doctrine of indoor management is also not an absolute absolute this doctrine. It has its limitations. It has its expectations, exceptions as well. Okay, what are the exceptions? That means it is inapplicable in following cases. In these cases, whatever we are going to discuss now, in these cases, doctrine of indoor management cannot be pleaded as a defense. Actual or constructive notice of knowledge of irregularity, when you actually have the knowledge that whatever is happening in the company is not right. Okay, so though you are an outsider but still you have a knowledge of what is happening in the company, then you will be dealt by the doctrine of constructive notice, and you cannot take the plea of doctrine of indoor management. The rule does not protect any person when the person dealing with the company has noticed, whether actual or constructive, of the irregularity. The leading case law is Howard versus Patent Ivory Manufacturing Company. Okay, Howard versus Patent Ivory Manufacturing Company, where the directors could not defend the issue of debentures to themselves because they should have known the extent to which they were lending money to the company required the assent of general meeting, which they did not have obtained. Okay, so in this case, what happened? Director gave loan to the company. Okay, and secured debentures from the company. So tomorrow company could not pay back to the directors. So directors went against the company that we are debenture holder, you pay the money back. Okay, but companies AOA did not allow directors to do so. They said we did not have a doctrine of indoor management. Whatever company is doing, company should know. We should not know it. Okay. The court said just because you were directors, you should have been aware. Suspicion of irregularity. The doctrine in no way rewards those who have behaved negligently. Where the person dealing with the company is put upon inquiry, for example, where the transaction is unusual or not in the ordinary course of business, it is the duty of outsider to make the necessary inquiry. Okay, suppose something is being done which to any person dealing with the company, any outsider, it is done in such a way that every person is bound to have some suspicion over it, and he is required to make some inquiries. Okay, suppose there are so many fraudsters which call us that we are calling from Paytm or we are calling from SBI, you must have received an OTP, give us your OTP. Now there is so much publicity that this kind of fraud is going on. Okay, now tomorrow somebody calls me that I am calling from Paytm, you provide me these details, and I provide those details to him. Okay, and then there's a fraud with me. Now Paytm is no longer responsible for that. Why? Because I should have made some inquiry. I should have had some suspicion over that person, that why this person is calling me from Paytm, and Paytm says that we will never call you. Then why am I receiving this call? But still, if I do not make an inquiry, then the Paytm is not liable. I cannot say that is the indoor management of the Paytm, whether they allow people to call or not to call. How do I know? That cannot be done. Okay, the protection of Turquoise rule, that is the rule of doctrine of indoor management, is also not available where the circumstances surrounding the contract are suspicious and therefore invite inquiry. Suspicion should arise, for example, from the fact that an officer is purporting to act in a manner which is apparently outside the scope of his authority. Okay, where, for example, and in the case of Anand Bihari Lal versus Densho and Company, this is a case in the plaintiff accepted a transfer of company's property from its accountant. Now, accountant is transferring the property of the company to someone. Can it happen? I go to a company and then company's peon, he's signing a document and saying now you become the owner of the company. Can it happen? It cannot happen. So definitely a person should not believe in these kind of things. The transfer was held to be void. The plaintiff could not have supposed, in absence of power of attorney, that the accountant had authority to effect transfer of the company's property. Accountant is just an employee, just like any other employee. How can an accountant transfer the property of the company? So this person, Anand Bihari Lal, should have had some suspicion that how can a accountant transfer. So if he believed to the transfer, then that is his problem. He cannot say that it was doctrine of indoor management. I never knew that who had the real authority. Forgery. The doctrine of indoor management applies only to irregularities which might otherwise affect a transaction, but it cannot apply to forgery. Forgery, which must be regarded as a nullity. Forgery is an illegal act. So an illegal act is always an illegal act. Okay, it does not bind anyone. Okay, it does not bind anyone. So some person from the company is doing entering into some illegal act. Company is never bound by that illegal act. Okay, because that is unlawful. Forgery may, in circumstance, exclude the Turquoise rule, but in some circumstances, forgery may exclude the Turkant rule. Okay, the only clear illustration is found in Rubin versus Great Fingal Consolidated. In this case, the plaintiff was a transferee of share certificate issued under the seal of defendant's company. The company's secretary, who had affixed the seal of company and forged the signature of the two directors, issued the certificate. The plaintiff contended that whether the signature was genuine or forged was apart from internal management, and therefore the company should be stopped from denying genuineness of the document. But it was held that the rule has never been extended to cover such complete forgery. Okay, simply it means that whatever is being done, okay, forgery means you are committing somebody else's sign. Forgery means you are signing as Ram but you are not Ram. Okay, or I sign like a district magistrate, but I'm not the district magistrate. I'm the peon of the district magistrate, but I have put my sign on the district magistrate's file because I have seen him signing so many times. Okay, so I can imitate his signs. So if I imitate his signature and sign as a district magistrate, then that order will not become a valid order. Why? Because that is a forged order. Okay, that order is forced one, that is an unlawful order. So an illegal act will never become a legal just because it was done by the forgery. Okay, and when there is a forgery, when some person, suppose A, is signing as a DM but he is not the DM, he is not the district magistrate, then tomorrow I cannot say that I never knew who signs on the file, whether these signs were of the district magistrate or done by his peon. How did I know? I had no occasion to know this. But the law say we cannot help you because this act is pure illegal act. Company or the government cannot be made liable to this.